Hey guys, how you doing? I thought we'd just look at some transits today. We haven't just looked at transits in a while, and we have this big eclipse coming up soon. I already did a video a couple days ago talking about the notable event that's happening that day, but I figured tomorrow we'll take a look at the eclipse as just the context of a full moon and what that can mean for us regardless of politics. But we have some interesting stuff going on this week, and so let's check out what's going on here. So the first thing I notice in this chart is Jupiter is trining Neptune conjunct Saturn now, and Neptune conjunct Saturn has consistently been interpreted as the lies and deceptions our government is using right now to maintain its status quo. And with Jupiter trining that, we are seeing just a massive increase in this tactic. With Cancer ruler Moon conjunct Venus, they're trying to appeal to people's emotions through manipulation of their values. And so we see Venus making that yod there now that it's moved into Virgo, with Neptune conjunct Saturn and Pluto. And it's almost like they're trying to one-up each other, isn't it? And I think we could see this with the Uranus square Venus that is happening now as well. It's so much. And like, okay, we need to have the half mast. We need to have the funeral. We need to have the memorial service. We need to have the holiday. And now, I just read right before I made this video, now we are going to start like forcing universities, or they're going to attempt to force universities to have like a memorial statue in their front. I can't even remember what you call that anymore. It's been so long since I've been to college. In the front of the building where he would hold his debates. It's just so much, and it's like they're really trying to capitalize on this. You know, they've been struggling for a while now. They've been losing ground because of the whole Epstein debacle, and also, you know, everything else they're doing. But they finally got their perfect distraction here. Or some could argue they made their perfect distraction. But either way, whether they planned for it or not, it has really just been the best thing that's happened to them all year. And they are milking it for everything they can, you know? And we know it's baloney. If they really cared about this, we would be having statues for, you know, the children. Arguably more important, wouldn't you think? Or, I don't know, perhaps addressing the extreme issues we have in our system right now. But I'm going off on a tangent. We have Jupiter squaring Mars, not quite opposing Pluto yet. They're 11 degrees away, but it is getting there, and that is going to make a very intense T-square. I believe it will be a little bit closer by the time of the eclipse. I think it's going to be 10 degrees away. It's a little bit too far for an aspect that doesn't include a luminary, but since it's Jupiter and Pluto, and they're very powerful planets and such, you know, I would still probably consider it for that. But this is what I was just talking about, them doing too much. And it's ultimately, I think, going to harm them in the end. You know, we have Mars as the head of that other yod. And with Jupiter and Pluto being there, you know, it's making it like the actions they're taking it's too much to the point where it's going to blow up in their face. And I believe that's where we will see the resolutions we came to in our original chart for this eclipse, when the what should happen will probably start happening. You know, a serious discussion will be brought forth that can lead to positive outcomes. I really didn't intend to kind of parrot so much of what I did in my previous video, but it's that's really what I can see is just what I read before. It's really interesting that when the moon was conjunct Jupiter, that was when they announced that they were taking Jimmy Kimmel off the air, and that is what really caused a huge stink. And now Disney's regretting that action because they have so many people unsubscribing from their platform that the page has literally crashed. So like they're actually facing some noticeable backlash for their decision there. And I believe that's going to spark this major turning point here, you know, with Venus conjunct the moon now. You know, they tried to manipulate people's emotions, but now it didn't really work out for them. And now they're going to have to work to regain those losses. And so I believe the moon conjunct Venus, I almost said Vegeta. How silly. Vegeta would take care of our government in no time. He would be able to set these people straight real fast if he were here. But anyways, Venus conjunct the moon, I believe, is a real starting point for change. And we're starting to see change. Things that I never expected, like Tucker Carlson speaking out on Fox News against the censorship of Jimmy Kimmel. Among other people, like I believe even Steve Bannon spoke out against that. And these are people that are like hardcore, been pro MAGA all the way. Like it's literally their job to be propaganda. And even they are speaking out against it. People that have long served, I can pull up the list now. You know, Heather Cox Richardson was actually just talking about this the other day. That's why it's on my mind. But for the life of me, I can't remember the 4 or 5 people that she listed off. But, you know, people are starting to turn around and they're starting to announce this messaging of let's you know, focus on gun reform. Let's not attack freedom of speech. I believe I even read somewhere that Colbert and Jon Stewart are in the talks of potentially even starting their own like cable platform, so they can keep their message on the air. And shoot, they don't even need to do that. They could just keep their message alive through YouTube and social media. But the important thing is these are massive changes in messaging and communication. And this is what Uranus and Gemini, trining Mercury, trining Pluto, this is what this grand trine is all about. And we talked about that a couple of days or maybe even a couple of weeks ago as well. We've been talking about a lot of these things lately because these transits they're huge, and it's all these slow moving planets that are taken to effect. So it really is a huge moment in history, and I'm really just kind of nervous. I ultimately think we're going to have a positive outcome, but what's going to get us there just kind of has me on the edge of my seat a little bit, because the transits coming up for this eclipse are a big deal. But anyways, it's about all the time I got for today. I hope you guys are doing all right. Let's see, what other videos am I going to be putting out soon? Next up will be my Saturn video. That's coming out soon. I'm trying to decide what fictional thing to do a chart for next. I considered maybe doing Skyrim. Everybody loves Skyrim. It'd be interesting to do a chart reading for that. Been considering doing a chart reading for Jim Carrey. Is there anything that you all would like to see? Be sure to let me know. I do not mind taking requests. So let me know if there's something you'd like for me to cover. And if you want a chart reading, you can get one at www.dhastrology.com. And I love you guys. Have a great day.